Hey, new year, new intro.
Yeah, I like the logo. I like the logo.
Awesome, awesome. And
Really? We've been doing this 6 years? Yeah?
yeah, I had to look it up because I'm like, okay, so if we're not going to go with the, the first Monday Lightroom, second Monday Photoshop scenario, kind of mix it up a little bit. I got to figure out a way to label these things, I guess. I don't know, or keep track. So I said, well, we can do the episode, the season slash episode, way to mark things. And I go, yeah, I think I've got to be in like season 3. I'm like, let me look it up. I published the first video, 2020. Holy cow!
When you asked Brian and me to test this with you, and then we
Hmm.
started.
Time flies when you're having fun. Time flies when you're having fun. So yeah, so I had to make some changes on to figure, we'll try this. We'll see how it works. I mean, this is just BS. I might even get rid of this altogether, but once the warm season comes up, I want to be able to use this section here for letting you know what's going on in the area by being able to put events here, So this is a nice place to have it, but this isn't used all the time, especially when it's cold. So I got to put something here. So I figure I'll do this.
You have something for next Tuesday.
I do.
Yes, yes, you do next Tuesday.
Oh,
Oh,
oh
geez.
yeah. But that's not my event. That's your event. That's
Okay,
so
okay,
yeah.
okay. Doug is going to be our guest speaker for portrait photography at North Haven Camera Club next Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. It's Monterey's Avenue, Hope Christian Church, exit 9 off of I-91.
Yep. I don't even know what I'm doing. Oh, creative portraiture, right?
Hold on a second. Let me look this up what you
I
said.
think I think.
Hold on. I know you're not doing flowers this time.
No.
I still get compliments for that. Here we
Oh,
go.
oh, cool.
No, longer lean. Here we go.
Yeah, because I don't have that information
Okay,
in
here we
front of
are.
me.
She wrote a nice little slide, said, and camera club, lighting for portrait photography.
Oh, okay.
And it says this workshop is your starting point for mastering portrait photography lighting. Learn the fundamentals of flash, light placement, and modifiers to
Gotcha.
create captive images. Explore various lighting setups and techniques for different moods and styles. Gain confidence in directing your subject and expand your skills with light configurations, flash basics and essentials, effective light placement modifiers, directing your, okay, this is a repeat. Okay.
Yeah.
Of what we
Okay.
just
Cool.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
One question I will have
mm-hmm.
is when you have lights, like I'm teaching people to, so my kind of people don't, senior citizens don't have to go out and buy stuff.
Right.
If you have a lamp with a reading lamp, you know how you have the lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the lamp and then you have a reading lamp attached and you can aim the reading lamp at somebody. Should you aim it down on the person, straight ahead at the person, or what? That's going to be my question
Okay.
that night.
All right. That's a great question. So for that workshop, I am basically going to start off with the basics. You know, uh, what modifier you should start with, the initial settings to set your camera and lights to, the initial starting position for light placement. Um, Because what I find is people who don't do portraits on a regular basis, they tend to get hung up on formulas and light ratios and lighting patterns, and it's like I just tell people throw that all out the window.
That's what we always did at NHTV. You know, for some strange reason, we never did formulas. I never got involved with tech because I had too many other things to do. But I don't know if we ever got into key light, backlight, and fill light. But for
Yeah.
some strange reason, it worked. Don't ask me how. We just did it.
Yeah. Well, after a while, you automatically go to what works.
Mhm.
So even though you're not actively thinking about how you're setting your lights in the
Yeah.
back of your head, it's like, well, we set it up like this last time, and this is how I'm going to set it up this time, and it
Yeah.
just kind of falls into it.
Mhm.
And that's the only time I really preach about light ratios and things and light patterns is not so much on individual sessions, but when you need to replicate a session, that's when that information comes into play. So, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So cool. For today, I thought I'd share. I had a photo session today with a Santa Claus. Woohoo. And it wasn't me. uh, so
Getting an early start for next year.
well, he is, yes. So the what I did is, as you know, I have been a member of the Connecticut Society of Santa for a number of years. And of course, I initially joined because I was going to be the Santa. And then when they found out that I was a professional photographer, it's like, well, hey, are you willing to photograph, photos with Santa here and there and everywhere? And I kind of got pulled into being the photographer rather than being the Santa, which, to be honest, I don't mind at all. I'm in my element in that case. But it was like, okay, I went from wanting to be Santa Claus to now being an elf. Oh, I got something to show you. I just happen to have this laying around from the last session. I haven't really unpacked. So I gotta tell you a little story first. So my first year with the society, I met a professional Santa by the name of Bill Dexter, who subsequently became my mentor and a good friend now. He volunteers a lot of his services to the community. And one of the places he volunteers for is a school down in Bridgeport called the McGivney. Well, it's an after-school center that works closely with the school system, the McGivney Center, and they have this very unique program there. Okay, just double checking. They have a unique program there where throughout the year kids earn points. All right, and then at the end of the year for their Christmas celebration, they can take those points and buy gifts, Christmas gifts, with the caveat that you can't buy gifts for yourself. You have to buy them for people that you love, family, friends, things like that. Okay, so there's lessons built into it. Anyway, Santa Bill volunteers his time at this event, and we bring the lights. He brings a sled. We have backgrounds, and the kids line up, and they get to sit on Santa's lap and tell him what they want. I take photos and I print them on site, and everybody walks away with a 4x6 photo. packaged into one of those little paper frames, and out the door they go. Everybody has a great time. The reason I got called in is because this regular photographer that he used to do it with retired and wasn't doing it anymore. And so he needed to find somebody new, and it just so happens that I was available. So that's how I got roped into it. Now, there's a sled, big sled, Santa Claus, full regalia, lights aimed at him, kids walking up to sit on his lap. I'm sitting behind the camera with my laptop and a printer right next to me. I'm dressed in my typical black. I wear black in the studio. So I was wearing black at this event. And then I feel a tug on my pant leg. And I look down. There's this little 4-year-old kid. And he's looking at Santa, then he's looking at me, looking at Santa, and he goes, "Are you the real Santa?" I'm like, "No, Santa's right over there. Don't you see him?" And I pointed, to Santa Bill in the sled. And he dead straight looks me in the eye. "No, you look more like Santa than he does. I think you're Santa." I died laughing. I told Bill about this afterwards, and he thought it was hilarious. But it got me to thinking, I don't want to be at a Santa event being confused as Santa. I don't want to, shave this off because I want to be able to play Santa as well as be the photographer. So I says, I need to change up my look. So I made myself a little Santa helper elf outfit, and I got myself it's green, so it's gonna be tricky. Hopefully you can kind of sort of see it. It's an apron, and I had it embroidered North Pole Photography Department. Just so I don't look like Santa Claus.
That's great. That's great.
That is funny.
That
Can
was.
you show that again a little longer? You didn't show it that long.
Oh, you just want to see the hat, don't you?
I want to see the hat. There we are. I should take a picture.
Oh,
No. Didn't you have a coat that said North Pole
Oh,
Department?
this.
That one.
Yeah, it's hard to see because it's dark green, but it's green. So
Okay, got it.
the
There we
green
are.
screen.
I love it. There we are.
Yeah, the green screen software is going to affect it. So so every year we do an annual workshop. And in the past, I've done workshops on how to be a Santa to a camera, which went surprisingly well because a lot of Santas, even the experienced Santa, says, "Oh, I never thought about that when I'm having my picture taken." Things like posture and being open to the camera and playing to the camera and things like that. So this past December, well, actually it was in November, this past workshop, what I did is I decided, here I am over the past several years. I've been just doing the photography for, at these events for Santas. I haven't really sold myself to Santas themselves. So I put together a little marketing piece. All right. Professional Santa promo package. Because a lot of these Santas promote themselves through the more popular one is a site called Gig Salad. And on Gig Salad, they can get booked for, appearances, a Christmas party, a home visitation, corporate events, things like that. So they need to be able to market themselves through these venues. So I says, you know, I'll put together a package so that, you know, a Santa can buy the package and they're going to have enough material to be able to get themselves going, you know, for the year for marketing. And I gave two of them away as a gift, well, not as a gift, as a contest prize for a couple little games that we played there. And the first Santa came in and claimed it. So what I want to do is I kind of want to walk you through what I did with him. And in particular, I want to show you how I created custom presets in Lightroom in order to be able to really add, enhance the images in a bulk manner. Okay. So actually, let me see if I'll switch. Where's my studio camera? Let's see if that, yeah, that works. All right. There we go. All right. Actually, let me go ahead and share my screen. Share. Okay. All right. So I don't know if you can see, I have a backdrop set up. Okay. My camera's on the stand. And I have, in the back, I have two gridded strip lights. One here and one here. Okay. So those are behind Santa, kind of throwing a little bit of edge light to them to a certain degree. All right. I wasn't too critical about those. And then right over here is my key light, which is my main light, which is a 5-foot parabolic, you know, or what some people call a brawly box. All right. So that's the setup. And let me switch over to this. All right. And what we did is I walked him through a series of images. All right. Now, the idea was that the final result is going to be used as promotional marketing material. All right. So unlike a typical portrait where, you know, in a portrait, it's all about the person and getting to know who the person is and be able to portray them, you know, beautifully and artistically in the whole 9 yards. This is more branding photography where, yes, it's important to convey who the person is, but we also need to take into consideration that his photo or his image is going to be shared with text in the frame. Okay. So that was the initial goal. So let me just expand this out real quick. So the first thing that I normally do in a situation like this is I will walk my client through kind of like a little bit of a warm-up exercise. Okay. Again, because this is not a portrait session per se, I'm going to be asking them to perform. Now, he is a professional performer for the most part, as a Santa Claus. Come to find out, this past season was his first season, but he has been involved with theater. He's been involved with television on the production side. So he's not new. He's not a newbie to it, and he actually warmed up really quickly. But I like to take people through a warm-up session in order for them to get used to being in front of a camera, having, flash popping in their eyes, which can be disconcerting to somebody who's not really used to it. And of course, going through facial expressions, which for most people can feel a little funny. It's like, here I am making faces at the camera, you know? So that's basically the first thing I do is, just walk them through. All right, give me a surprise look, give me a happy look, give me, a quizzical look. Let's do a ho ho ho. Here you're being stealthy. Telling kids, don't let people know that Santa's here. Okay. Things like that, okay? So that was the initial steps that I took, all right? And everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to either they warm up really quickly or they have a hard time with this. So this step is kind of a way for you to get them introduced to what their comfort levels are, in a way. All right. You get to judge and you get to see, okay, well, I'm going to need to work a little bit harder to get this from them, but I can see that they're more comfortable with this. All right. So usually what I'll do is if I see something that they're very comfortable with, I'll start them off there. I want to start them off where they are the most comfortable, because as time progresses, their comfort will only get better. They'll relax more as the session progresses. And then at that point, I'll start asking them to do a little bit harder things. Okay? Everybody follow that mentality? All right. So we went through and his first outfit was, kind of very casual, and then we kind of lost the shirt, and I said, okay, well, we'll do this where you are kind of like maybe taking inventory. You're at the North Pole. You're taking roll call on the reindeer is what I told them. And, we did a bunch of photos with the clipboard. All right. And I switched it up. Okay. Now, as you notice, especially with shots like this, and you'll notice that I had them on the other side as well. This is not a typical portrait composition. Notice that he is off to the side. And the reason being is that this will allow us to be able to put, copy and text into this area that he can use for marketing. All right. So this is something that, if you decide to pursue this, this is something that you need to keep in the back of your head, is you need that space, that open space, which is called, in this case, it's called copy space. All right. So all the information about, their phone number, their email address, their price, whatever they want to put on there, that's where that's going to go. Okay. But also, you want to have some flexibility. I did a couple of shots where it was specifically more for like a headshot, or, if not a traditional headshot, like for example, we can do something where, most headshots are on a 1:1 aspect ratio. So we can do something like this, or we can open it up where we have something like this, so we have the flexibility. Okay. I always suggest overshoot meaning take more photos than you need, because then you can reduce down to the most solid, most usable images. Okay. On a side note, if like for in this case, this is a package deal. In the package, they get 2 headshots, 5 marketing shots, and 3 banners. Okay, Gig Salad, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Okay, so there's a limit of what they're getting. But if you overshoot, they may say, you know what? I picked out all the images I need for the package, but I also like these other ones. Guess what? You can upsell them for additional images. Okay? Because once they see it, once they see how good the images are, they're going to want them in their library. All right? And especially if you can get a broad range of expressions, even though, yeah, he's Santa Claus, he's wearing the same outfit pretty much throughout the whole photo shoot. We changed up the background a couple of times, so there's going to be a lot of what looks like duplicates, but they're going to see enough differences that they're going to want additional images. So keep that in mind as a marketing ploy. Okay? So let me just reset this. Okay. All right. The other thing that you're looking at images that I have already processed. These images, they're not fully edited. Okay, because I can add additional, I'm going to be adding like magic effects. What we covered last month with Photoshop and, creating the special effect brushes. I'm going to be adding stuff like that. But the things that I can do in Lightroom very easily is, for example, I can make those lanterns and that moon really look like they're glowing. Because again, we're looking at a cloth backdrop. So anything that we can use to enhance that cloth backdrop a little bit, all the better. Make it a little bit more interesting, okay? So these are already delivered to the client. He just needs to pick out what he wants, okay? So as we're going through, take a look at how they look. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how I designed the particular lighting effects and how I applied them globally to a full range of images. Okay. Looks like I'm starting to stutter here. My video's stuttering. All right. So you can see here we kind of just go through a bunch of expressions. All right. I ask him to do all kinds of stuff. All right. And we switch it up. All right. So here we've switched up to, he's on one side, now he's on the other side. Those of you who have watched my presentation on Beyond the Rule of Thirds, I think all of you have, will remember that we read from left to right, top to bottom. Okay, so there's a certain psychology as to where you place your subject. Okay, so I'm just going to take this one and this one. All right, I'll put them side by side. Okay, and I want you to see that when we have the open space on the left hand side, all right, so this is let me see. This is where the copy's going to be, right? And this is where the copy's going to be here. Okay. The weight, the importance shifts ever so subtly, all right? In the first image here, the copy is the important part of this. Santa is kind of secondary. Where on the other one, Santa is now a little bit more important. He's in a position of importance, and the copy then is secondary. So in the first one, the copy introduces the character. In the second one, the character introduces the copy. All right. So what I normally suggest is if you know, for marketing, if the event is important, use this one. If you're just using it to promote yourself and you want to have, you know, contact information, use the other one. All right, so that's a little tip for you guys. All right. So moving on. Let's see. Continued with the different poses. We started introducing a prop. I asked him to bring a bunch of props with him, and he brought his Naughty and Nice book. All right. So we did a series of images where he's kind of interacting with the prop. And then I had a few props myself that I have here. Let's see if I can scroll past all these. All right, here we go. Little lantern. Okay. So we played around with the lantern. You can see I kind of applied the lighting effect as a preset and then modify it here, just because I wanted these images to get out. Okay. I should have taken a few extra seconds to realign these, but I was in a bit of a hurry. But when I deliver the previews, my client already understands that these are not the final edits. These are just previews. So they're aware that, you know, but at least it helps them kind of visualize where I'm going with these particular images. Okay. All right. We continued on. We switched it up. Ooh, you know what? I think I missed a bunch of images that did not get delivered. Oh no. Switched up to a globe. All right. And we went through how I created that swirling, kind of like fairy dust glitter effect last month. We'll be doing that to this globe for his images as well. Okay, so we keep going. You can see a bunch of expressions. Then we switched it up. He decided to pick out a gift in one hand and a toy in the other. And he specifically wanted this particular gift because he said it looks like a wine bottle gift. So it's like, you know, wine or toy, you know. So he played around with that concept. And let's see, actually, that's my favorite right there, you know. Then I gave him the stethoscope to play around with the stuffed bear. That's my favorite one there. I kind of like that one too, you know. So, and then one final toy to play with. I wasn't too crazy about that one, so we kind of like, we tried it, didn't like it, moved on. Okay. He really loved his book, so we went back to the book, changed up the background, and had him go through a bunch of paces. All right. Again, we're keeping that open copy space. All right. And then we have them interacting with that open copy space. All right. So here's a little trick for you guys who want to get more into portrait work. All right. Now, granted, this is branding portrait work. This is for branding, but the same principle can apply when you're just doing a regular portrait session. Oftentimes, if you want to get a performance out of your subject, give them something to perform. All right. So in this case, you know, he has the prop that he can use. But then I said, okay, visualize that there's going to be text that you're going to be pointing to. And in this case, he's got to use his imagination a little bit. So what I do is I coach him as for him to look and find a spot on a wall in the studio, okay, that he can look at. All right. And you looking through the viewfinder, you say, okay, a little lower, a little higher, a little left, a little right. Okay. What are you looking at? That's your spot. Okay. Because playing to nothing can be challenging. All right. Now, obviously for portrait work, you don't need to do that, but you do, in order to get an expression from them and a look, especially a look where they're not looking at the camera. If you want them looking off camera so that it doesn't look like they're just spacing out, because you don't want to take a portrait of somebody who looks like they're spacing out. That's not going to be a good portrait. Give them something to focus on. All right. But you're going to guide them, because the position in relation to your camera, all right, is very important. All right. If they're turned too far away, that's going to make a very terrible portrait. So you need to cheat them a little bit. All right. And they may be looking here, all right, which is good for the face position, but not necessarily for the eye position. So he says, okay, don't move your face, but bring your eyes, instead of looking there, look over there. All right. And those little shifts is all it takes to go from a good portrait to a wow portrait. Okay. All right. And this goes to whether you're just taking family portraits or whether you're actually looking to do it for fun and profit. Okay. All right. So I gave him his cue. He locked onto his cue, and then we switched it up, and he's interacting with that open space. So again, you know, you have to imagine that there's copy space here, or a copy going on here that he's going to be pointing to. All right. All right. And that was pretty much it. Okay. Any questions on the process that I did through here? Anything?
No questions, but I love the setups and the thoroughness of everything that you went through to achieve what your goal was. That's very enlightening. Enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you.
How many photos did you take, Doug, for this session?
A little over 300.
300.
Yeah. So again, you know, there are subtle differences. All right. So for example, here I'll just pick these three random ones here. Okay. Actually, no. Let me add this one and get rid of that one. Okay. Look at the pose. Okay. The pose is the same. The poses are all the same, but the expressions are slightly different. I'm having him, I'm coaching him, give me a bigger smile, give me a smaller smile, give me this, give me that. All right. And I tell him, don't move your body. We want this because he's pointing towards the open space. But what we want to do, what I want to do is I want to give him the options to be able to say, image number 2 looks more like me than anything else. I kind of like image number 2. Or, I don't like the smile on image number 2. My smile is better on image number 3. Okay. So, by offering them choices, they can make the best choice for themselves. Okay. If they don't know how to make that choice, at least I'm giving myself enough choices to be able to pick the correct one for the client. All right. One that's going to get the message across. All right. Because again, even though he's used to playing Santa Claus, he's used to performing the role, and he's used to doing the ho 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 and the hi, I got you, and like, whoa, what's that you're telling me is your what you want for Christmas? He knows all these. All right. But how does it read on camera? All right. Because that's the ultimate test. And so having a range to choose from, I'm going to pick the strongest one to be able to use for a deliverable. All right. The strongest one obviously is subjective. All right. There are times where I liked one and the client didn't, and they picked something totally different. And I'm like, man, why did you pick that one? The other one's so much better. And I gotta say, okay, that's the one you want. Okay, I'll deliver it, But having the options gives you that opportunity to really hone in onto the one best one. Now, in this particular case, I delivered them all to him because during my conversation with him, I found out that his daughter is a graphic artist. His daughter is the one that's going to be helping him with all of this. All right. So I made the conscious decision to pretty much upload everything. All right. I removed a few things that were, where he had his eyes closed. I caught him, mid blink. I got rid of those. But all these others, I just uploaded. Now, this is a special situation. Had it been a different client who doesn't have that kind of background that he doesn't have the resources available to them, I would have been a little bit more critical in my choices to upload. So instead of uploading 300 images, I probably would have only uploaded, say, 100 images or 80 images. I would have really narrowed it down to the photos that I think are the best. Okay? So you need to understand your client in certain situations. All right, does that make sense? Okay. All right. All right, since I failed to upload these to him, I think that's where we're going to work. All right.
Hey, Doug,
Yes.
another question about the 300 photographs. So for each photo, you're telling him to do something for every photo, essentially, not
No.
it's not like the model where they're up there doing stuff and you're snapping away, or
Yeah.
I guess I'm still trying to wrap my head around the number of photos that get taken at these events.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, all right. No, that's a great question. Let me switch it up. All right. So you remember at the very beginning, I leave the very beginning is kind of like the warm-up session.
Right.
All right. Not just for them. It's also warm up for me. Warm up, to get, uh, I'm returning back to my studio after, New Year's break. I haven't really touched my camera in a couple of weeks. So get back into the whole flow of things. All right. A new client, never worked with them before. I don't know what cues they're going to react to, what they're not going to react to, what their hangups are. All right. How stiff are they? All right. And the stiffness comes across through the body language. And it appears in the face and in the hands the most. All right. So even with models, especially models that I need them to use their hands for the image, the warm-up sessions tend to take longer in order to get that fluidity in the hands if they are not very experienced. Getting a model to be very comfortable and very, very relaxed with their hands so they look proper on film or on film, on camera, is very difficult. All right. Next time you're working with a model, have them do stuff with their hands. Place it here. Do stuff like this. Watch their hands. They'll be like claws. They'll be like smushing their face. They're very tense, and it comes out in their hands. Okay. But in this guy's case, he fell into the comfort zone really, really quickly. Yay me. All right. Because then I can now get to work a lot sooner. All right. And then having to kind of like pull stuff out of the client. Okay. There are going to be times where you're going to have that tug of war with a client. I've done sessions where, especially corporate clients, where they come in for a headshot. I try to limit it to about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, they get antsy. They want to skedaddle out of there. All right. So, especially if it's on location stuff, on location work, 10 minutes most is what you get with some of these corporate clients. So you need to get from 0 to 100 within that short amount of time. Okay. So oftentimes it's like, well, you can read the body language. They're not going to relax these. All right. So let's take them out of the equation. Let's put them in a position where you really can't see those hands. All right. The hands don't need to be in the photo. All right. Let's work on just relaxing their shoulder. Okay. Whether you have to sit them down or stand them up, lean them, have them lean against a chair. All right. These are all little tricks that you can use to get a performance out of your client. Okay. And yeah, that comes with experience. All right. But understanding these tricks and keeping these tricks in the back of your head that you can pull out when you're getting that, when you, as the photographer, start getting apprehension, because, you got to understand that you're there, you're performing. Your performance is, I am the professional photographer. Okay. I need to deliver a professional product, and I got to play the part as a professional photographer. I can't look like I don't know what the hell I'm doing, even if I don't know what the hell I'm doing. All right. So having those little tips and tricks in the back of your head, that you can pull out at any given time, they don't need to know that you've never tried it before. You just say, okay, we're going to give this a try. All right. All right. This is what I want you to do. All right. And what I always do is I always model it first. I'll say, this is what I want you to do. Just lean into the chair, lean into the back of the chair. Okay? Because it's easier for people to mirror your actions than for them to try to analyze what you said, interpret what you said, internalize it. What did he mean by that? And then externalize it. So there's a longer process for that. So showing them shortcuts that process. All right.
And even at that, everyone does that particular process differently. Does that
Absolutely.
particular pose differently. You know, turn your
Absolutely.
head to the left, right, or show them something, and yeah, it means something different to them. Yeah.
Yep. So once they start getting comfortable with that warm up period, all right, and I usually tell them, all right, you're gonna do small steps, okay, all right. Those of you who have worked with models, and I see this with amateur photographers when there's like a model shoot, and the amateur photographer and the model get together, and they go off to the model will run through their whole routine of poses, and then they start running out of ideas. All right. In the meantime, you're like, oh, I gotta click because she's gonna change. Click. Oh, she's changing again. Click. All right. So now you feel rushed to get all their poses as they're going through their repertoire. Right. You've seen this, right? I'm sure Alan's probably seen this more than 100 times. All right. So I usually tell them, all right, you're going to slow it down. All right. You're going to do a pose. All right. And then you're going to do a series of small changes. All right. And in this case, I said, okay, give me a smile. All right. And to answer your question, Bill, yes, I am prompting him pretty much on every photo, but it's more conversational. All right. Because you have to understand, all right, that he's being put in a very uncomfortable situation. And most people, when they get brought in for a portrait in front of a camera, they are in a very unnatural situation. They're not used to, having not only a professional looking person with a professional looking camera taking their pictures, but you got lights that, that are popping in your eyeballs. It can be very intimidating. All right. So what I do is, in order to get them from not worrying about that, I want them to engage with me. All right. So I'll go, all right. I'll start off by showing them, okay, like for example, with the book. All right. You got your book. All right. What I want you to do, and I'll give them a scenario. All right. Actually, I'll do the clipboard one. All right. Here's a clipboard. Pretend that you are taking roll call of all the reindeer, and maybe one of the reindeers is not there. Okay. That's the scenario. So now he can kind of picture this. All right. He's got a reason for having that prop. He's got a motivation for using that prop. Okay. And this is all an internal, he's internalizing these thoughts. But what happens is, for me, behind the camera, it's coming out in the form of his body language. Okay. That mental process that is going on internally for him is being displayed to me through body language. Because now, all right, if I'm taking inventory, there's a certain way you hold a clipboard and a pen for doing inventory, right? And so now I say, okay, I take my initial shot. I say, okay, we're going to make some changes. Lift the clipboard up. I want to see a little bit more of your pen hand, that kind of things. So now he understands what my needs are. Okay, we haven't discussed any of this. We just the overall silhouette of the pose. All right. So I have the images coming up on the secondary monitor, so they can monitor themselves. All right. So as I have them do changes, they can see the effect of that change. All right. So see how this clipboard's kind of being hidden. I need it to be up here. I need this, and this. Okay. All right. Once there, then I turn to the face and I go, all right, give me a stern look like, okay, who's being naughty? All right. All right. And now you have to imagine I'm looking through my viewfinder and I'm clicking. Every time I see him deliver something that I like, I'm going to press that shutter. All right. During this whole process, I am talking to him. All right. It says, okay, awesome. Click. Now raise your chin up a little bit. Click. All right. Bring your nose to me a little bit. Click. All right. Give me a big smile. Click. Bigger smile. Click. Go ho, ho, ho. Click. All right. So these are little prompts that I'm just tossing out. So it's conversational. All right. It's a one-way conversation as far as speaking is concerned, but it's a two-way interaction, all right? Because I'm giving him instructions, he's reacting to my prompts and giving me the performance that I need, okay? And we do this in chunks. I usually, take 4, 5, 6 pictures, and then we'll pause. I'll have them review the last photo that we took, because usually I stop when I get the really good ones, okay? Or if it's not working, I'll stop, all right? And I say, okay, we need to fix this, all right? I never tell them they're doing something wrong, all right? I says, okay, see how this is not quite showing up? Let's see if we can get you to, open it up, all right? Or, change this, change that, okay? Once they see that there's a reason for why I request that, all right, and the subsequent images confirm, all right, then it just kind of helps them relax and it opens it up for me to ask them weirder and crazier things, okay? Now, I'm working with a Santa Claus. He's fairly comfortable being in the public, but let's switch this scenario around and imagine you're doing a boudoir photo session, all right, where now we have a client that is in a very uncomfortable situation, all right? They're not used to being that revealing, not only physically, but mentally, all right, with a stranger, okay? So the faster you can get that person to relax, the better your job will be at being able to pull out some incredible images, all right? Because
Also trust you.
the trust, yeah.
In any scenario, you quickly have to build up a trust between
Yeah.
whoever you're taking
Absolutely.
the pictures of, and
Yeah.
because like you said, those flashes are going off,
Yep.
and they have to trust that you're taking them at their best light.
Yeah. I try, and that's a good point. The trust issue. All right. I like to try to establish that during the warm up period. Okay. I want that trust established early as I can. Okay. So there's a few things that play into the trust. One, if you look like you don't know what you're doing, trust is going to be decreased on their end. Okay. If you're fumbling and like, hold on a second, let me try this. Oh, that's not, if you have that body language going on, good good luck.
And
It's
that
going to be
works-
an
and that
uphill
works
ladder.
both way, and that works both ways. The same thing with the model doing the same type of thing. If they don't know what they're doing, you can see. How can I say this? Okay, they pick up on what you're not doing. You can also pick up if they're not I don't know,
Yes.
listening to you or
Yes.
something
Yes.
like that.
But the what's the word? The onus? Nah. The final outcome is dependent on the photographer.
Yes.
So yes,
Totally. Totally.
if the model is doing stuff that is making the photographer uncomfortable, it's on the photographer to overcome that very, very quickly within themselves and not get hung up on that. You know, all the burden, that's it, the burden. The
There we
burden
go.
of any photo shoot ultimately always falls on the
Yep.
photographer.
Yeah, it does.
You know,
Whether I'm shooting steampunk or whether I'm shooting anything else,
yep,
it's still my product is what describes me or what
yeah.
identifies me.
You,
So
you
I
know,
gotta make sure.
it's funny. There's uh, um, the China the war oh, having a mental block here. Shenzhen, is it Shenzhen? The Art of War. Very old manuscript. The Art of War. That's been, pretty much updated to reflect corporate environment. And one of the things that I learned from The Art of War is that you cannot blame the soldiers for their behavior, because ultimately it's dependent on the general. Okay, the bottom line is the general. If the troops fail, it's not the troops' fault. It's the general's fault. Okay, and it's the same thing in a photo environment. Okay, you cannot use, oh well, the model was terrible. It was very inexperienced. Okay, that's not an excuse. Not an excuse at all. All right, because you as the photographer need to be able to work through that and get the performance that you want, even if the model is new. And to be honest, with the experience that I have now, I prefer models that are a little green than models who think that they're experienced, because experienced models have a lot of bad habits that I now need to fight against. Okay. Whereas a new model hasn't had a chance to build up those bad habits. Okay. They have a few bad habits because they think this is how models should move, when in reality it isn't. But it isn't so ingrained that you can't work it out within that one session. Whether they retain it, down the road, who cares? I'm done with the photo session. Do what you want. I got the performance out of you for the time being. But yes, you have a model that is very tough to work with. You got to overcome it. You gotta break that barrier as quickly as possible. Otherwise, that photo shoot, just goes on, and you're gonna get crappy photos. All right, and at that point, guess what? Back in the early days, when I didn't know how to overcome things like that, there's a lot of photos that will never see the light of day. you know, because I just look at them and they're like, oh, these are just so bad. All right.
I mean, that's what I had when I was shooting weddings. I had to become their friend within a couple of, with a very short period of time because I just met them and I'm going to be spending the rest of the day with them and they have to trust me to take the best memorable picture for them.
Yep.
Without way back when.
Yeah, but you know what? Weddings
I
are
like my birds better. I like my birds better now.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. But weddings are good because you can always have them get a drink and loosen up.
It's right.
You know.
That always helps.
Yeah. Getting back to answering your question, Bill. Yeah, it's that conversation that I'm making changes to their expression, but little steps at a time. Okay. So once we've exhausted that, then I'll go ahead and switch it up and says, I'll switch it up by switching their position, like for, in this case, let me switch it up. In this case, we start off, he's looking at the globe. He's giving me, different, expressions. And you also have to understand that there are cues, non-spoken cues, that him as a subject or anybody in front of your camera is going to react to, and that's the click of the shutter and the popping of the lights. When they see that, when they hear the shutter and they see the lights go off, they know you've taken a photo. So they're going to give you the next pose, the next expression, the next whatever it is that you're asking them to give you. All right. So it's kind of like a metronome with music. Every time that metronome swings, it's the next note. Ding, 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 ding. They're going to give you the next note, facial expression, hand movement, shoulder shift, foot shift, head tilt, whatever it is. All right. And I've gotten to the point where I will pretty much take a shot on all of these changes unless I see something that's glaringly bad. If it's moderately good, I'll take the photo. Photos are free. It's not like back in the film days, digital frames are free. So when I start seeing that the poses are either repeating or that they're slowing down or I'm getting bad poses because they've run through all the good ones already, I'll switch it up. All right. So we go from, handling the globe to, let's switch it up. Let's switch to a different prop. Okay. Or like we did with the other ones, I moved him from the left side to the right side. Okay. Or vice versa, or, whatever the case may be, change the backdrop. All right. Maybe do a outfit change. Okay. All these things kind of reset the subject in their heads. All right. It's a reset. Okay. Because they've gone from making little changes to now making a big change. So they reset and they go back to making those little changes from that position. All right. And in this case, I usually proceed it with, okay, everything that you just did on the left-hand side, we're not going to do on the right-hand side. So they're already prepped for it. So now I know I can shoot another 8-10 shots without me even telling them anything. All they're going to do is, click. They hear the click. They see the flash go off. They're going to go immediately to the next one. But I want to be proactive. I'm going to give them cues, whether it's like, oh, give me a bigger smile. Give me, open your eyes a little bit more. Look towards the camera. All right. I intermix with, oh my God, that's awesome. Fantastic. Oh yeah, just like that. One more time. Give me another one. All right. And it's usually when you get that positive affirmation of like, oh yeah, fantastic. That's awesome. Give me another one. They'll give it to you much bigger, much better. All right. And usually that second shot's going to be the keeper, not necessarily the first shot that led up to it. Okay. So it's going to be a dialogue. Okay. Make sense? Answer your question?
Actually, it occurred to me as you were giving that talk that, and I was thinking, I sat in with you, helped you out with a office photo shoot some time ago.
Yep.
But it really, and I was thinking about how you dealt with those folks. But it occurred to me that, the technical aspects of setting up like the thing you're going to do and the interaction, those are two mutually exclusive talents, arts, or skills, I think. Just being able to talk to the folks and, I mean, it's all these pictures right here are technically they're wonderful. But what you did to get the expressions out of them, I don't know if that
Oh,
really
yeah.
had anything to do with photographic chops.
You're
or that
yeah,
much,
no,
I mean-
you're right. Yeah, there's absolutely the client interaction. Nothing photographic about any of that.
Yeah.
It's all being your true self.
Right.
All right. Being friendly, being open, being honest with your client, being able to talk, and not, I know you went with me for the in New Haven when we did the street
Almanac
photography
doctors.
portraits.
Oh yeah, street photography. Yep.
All right, where that exercise was done on purpose to break people out of their apprehension of approaching strangers.
Right.
Okay. But the thing is, if you really look at it, when you have a corporate client come into your studio for a headshot, you don't know who they are. You've never met them before. You may have talked to them on the phone. All right. Most of my corporate clients I talk to on the phone. I have maybe on 2 occasions actually talked to the secretary, where the secretary called to make the appointment for her boss. And then the guy comes in. I'd never seen him before. I never talked to him before. You can't be shy. You can't, like, "Oh, I don't know what to say." You immediately have to open up. You have to open yourself up and try to create that rapport, break down any barriers and hangups that you may have, personally about, being shy or whatever it is. Okay. And try to get that client to relax as much as possible. If you're not relaxed, your client is definitely not going to be relaxed. So, yeah, awesome. Okay, so let's break down very quickly here how I edited these. Okay. Now, so you can see that I ran a series. All right, the series were broken down into relatively 2 sections. All right, or 2 demarcations, however we want to classify it. The first one is change in backdrop. Okay, change in backdrop pretty much went with a change in outfit as well, for this case, early on. But change in background was one, and change in position relative to the frame was another one. Okay, so we have. Let me pull up the early ones. Okay. All All right. We have Santa on the right, Santa in the center, and Santa on the left. Okay. All right. So this is a great example, because if we look at the backdrop has two lanterns, two light poles, okay, in the scene. The one to the right is the larger one. The one to the left, you can see in this, smaller image, is kind of like, looks like it's tucked back in the woods and it's smaller perspective. All right. But there's two light sources that I want to light. Okay. And his position relative to my backdrop, I can't do the same edit for all three positions, because like that first image, you can't see the lamp on the left. All right. So if I were to edit to put a light there, it's not going to work, because you can't see that light. Likewise, the bottom one here, all right, he's hiding the big lantern on the right-hand side. All right. So if I use that middle image as my go-to image to create my edits, and I edit both lights, I'm going to get these glowing orbs in the wrong places on the first and last image. Common sense, right? So I have to break it down into logical segments. All right. So the first one is the backdrop. The second one is the subject's relationship to that background. And in my case, I kept it to left, center, right. Okay. So now what I can do is I can say, all right, I'm going to grab all the images with this backdrop where he's standing on the left-hand side, okay? And I'm going to edit these all the same way, okay? And what I did is I used my first one. You can see that this glowing star shape is perfect for this lantern. But as soon as I go to this one, it's off. All right. That's because I was in a rush. I should have fixed this before sending it to him, but neither here nor there. All right. But now 99% of the work is done. At this point, all I need to do, if I wanted to, I can just open up that my local adjustment mask, all right? And I can say, okay, we're going to take all of these and I'm just going to move them to the actual position. Oh, Bob's here. Okay. And from here, leaving this open, I'm getting ahead of myself, but just so you can see how easy this is, I can now take these and just put them in position. All right. And using my control left or right arrows, all right, in this case, I'm using control right arrow. All right. I go to the next image. I take that and I just bring it over here. All right. Now, the reason I can do that whole entire group, if you notice, this is, I have my outer glow here. I'll turn these off. All right. I have my outer glow, which is just a radial filter that has brightening to it. And it has, I warmed up the light by adding yellow to it. Then I did a ray. I made one, I copied it, and I copied it, and I did a rotation. I don't know if you guys can see it. Ray, ray, ray. Okay? They all have the same brightness and the same yellow color, because they are all within the same mask. All right. So because of that, all I got to do is just click on that mask, and as I drag it around, it's going to drag the entire group with it. All right. So because he's in the relative same pose, same position within each frame, all right, as I go from this to the next, all I got to do is just, grab that, move it into position, move to the next one, grab it, move into position, move to the next one, grab that, put it to position, move to the next one. So you can see how quickly I can fix, all right, the edit, all right, because the edit's already been done. I did it all in one shot, okay? Now all I'm doing is tweaking it, okay? Make sense? All right. So you do the work once, and you let the program pretty much do the heavy lifting for you, okay? All right. Let's go back. All right. All right. So as I was taking these photographs, I kind of had a very loose idea of what I wanted to do with the edits. All right. As we discussed previously, with any image, I don't care whether you're doing landscapes or still life or portraits, you're going to be making edits in one of three different areas, or all three. All right. Color, lighting, texture. Okay. Color, lighting, texture. Okay. So in this case, the lighting was very, very pretty much dead nuts, as they say, with my my key light and my two kicker lights on the side. All right. I actually introduced a fourth light on some of these images because when he was standing, let's see, all the way on the on camera left, all right, this area down here was very, very dark. All right, because literally he is right here, right next to my gridded light. The other one is way over here. All right. So you can see the influence of that light here. It's behind them. All right, but it's giving me a bit of a rim. My key light is also way over here. Remember, it's a big 5-foot umbrella. All right. So it's here. Oh, did we lose them? All right. So that meant that all this area here was in deep, deep shadow. Okay. And in order to get light here, I couldn't move that big softbox here. All right. That's lighting his face, the front of his outfit, and everything else. Okay. I couldn't move the strip lights because they're doing their own job. So I got a small 24-inch square softbox. I put it low to the ground, very low power, just enough to open up the shadows here. Okay. All right. Now the power on that was so low that when he shifts from here to go to the right-hand side, that light did not even influence the background. You couldn't even tell. All right. That was how low it was. Okay. All right. So my overall lighting was pretty good. I didn't feel I needed to do anything. All right. So let me just take this and I'm going to reset it. And I want you to see there. Actually, you know what? Here, I'll do it. I'll do it like this. Oops, wrong button. Wrong button. All right. This is what it looked like before. All right. So this is the before, and this is the after. Ooh, big change. You see the change? Can you see the can you guys see the change? All right. If anything, the change will kind of look like a vignette. All right.
Yeah, we can see it. We can see it.
Okay. Awesome. The edits for this one kind of look like a vignette. So it's bringing all the attention to him, more like a traditional portrait. All right. So this one was definitely shot more like a traditional portrait. Okay. The other thing that happens is, as I am editing these, I am noticing certain characteristics that travel from one image to the other, because now we're working in series. We're working in series, all right? One thing I notice is that the white on his coat needs to be white. But I was applying a color gradient to him. So I was warming up the highlights and cooling off the shadows. All right. In order to get a little bit of color contrast in the images. All right. Which that meant that because I was adding yellow to the highlights, the fur, which should be white, was now starting to look dingy. Can't have a dingy looking Santa. So that meant I had to correct the white fur and the white beard on the Santa. I have 300 images to go through. I need to find a solution that is going to get me to correct all of that across the board. All right. All right. So let me reset this and walk you through the process. All right. So white balance as shot, it was shot to the camera flash setting. All right. So I'm already shooting at a pretty cool temperature. All right. So the first thing I did is I went to my color gradient or my color grading, and I added a little bit of warmth to the highlights and a little bit of coolness to the shadows. All right. So let me go here. All right. Here we go. Little cool on the shadows. You can see it goes down into the blues and kind of like the orangey yellow in my highlights. I pretty much didn't touch. I think I added a little bit of warmth into my midtones, if I recall. Okay. Not much, just enough to flavor the image. Give it a little bit of warmth. Okay. I made that into a preset. Okay. Why? Because I need to apply that setting to 300 images. All right. So here it is. Here's my color grade yellow blue. All right. And I'm keeping everything in a folder called Santa. Okay. Color grade yellow blue. So now I can pick all of these. Actually, let me go ahead and I'm going to select all of these. Where's my, all of these. Okay. I'm going to reset all of these. Okay. And all I got to do is now apply my preset. Okay? All right. Now I have some where he's playing with a toy here. Some he's got the teddy bear and a stethoscope. Here he's playing around with a gift, and here he's got the ball. All right. So I'm gonna keep all this in my mind and realize that anything I do is going to be global edits that apply across the board to this full range. Okay. All right. So I said, well, okay. The first looking a little dingy. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it does have a bit of a yellow greenish cast. All right. Why yellow greenish? Because I initially shot it at my flash color balance in camera, which cools it. All right, so it adds blue, and I am now artificially adding yellow. Okay, I'm artificially adding yellow. It's giving me a little bit of a blend, and it's giving me a yellow with a slight greenish cast. Make sense? All right. So I now need to correct for that. I need to remove the yellow from all the fur. And I wanted to do it automatically. So the beautiful thing about Lightroom now is that we do have AI masking. So what I did is I said, okay, all right, I'm just going to do it for one. Let's go to my first image. All right. Now, if you have a fast computer like I did, I actually did it to all of them. Okay. But do it to one. It's a little bit easier, and then you can apply it to everything else. Okay. First thing is, all right, auto select using the AI, auto select the subject. Okay. There's my subject. Okay. So now what we've done is we've isolated the subject from the background. So now no matter what, nothing in that background is going to influence my choices. All right. So let me turn off the overlay. I said, okay, I want to target everything that is white, and I want to be able to remove some of that yellow. So what tool can we use? All right. We are going to intersect, all right, intersect this with another tool. And this is my color, my color range. Okay. So now I can say, all right, I want to target anything that is this light color, white, grayish, beard, and fur. All right. So now when we apply the overlay, look at that. Perfect selection. Now, we can see some of it is being picked up on the very light parts of the globe. You have to make a decision. All right. If I cool that section off, is it really going to ruin my image? Probably not. But we can refine this a little bit. So we have the refine tool all the way up here. Oops. Let me go here. We have the refine slider. All right. I wish they'd fix this, make it a little bit better. But if I bring that refine down, you'll notice that we're losing some of that influence right down here. Okay. Now I'm seeing that pretty much just the fur and beard are being selected. Okay. I now have my selection. What do I want to do with this selection? Well, I want to go into my my color channels, and I want to cool it off. Let me turn the overlay off. I want to cool it off. Now, I did not add a lot of yellow, so I don't need to remove a lot of yellow. So a small little amount, and I can, if I go too far, you can, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's getting that blue cyan kind of tint to it. That's too much. Back it off. Just so it doesn't look like that dingy yellow off-white fur. Okay? About 20 points is what I determined. And there we go. That's all it needs to do. That's the entire job for this preset. All right? Now, because I'm going to be making a lot of masks, I cannot keep the masks with the default naming convention. All right? Because mask 1, next time I create a mask that's not this, it's going to label it mask 1. All right? And then if I apply this as a preset and I don't change that name, guess what? It's going to overwrite mask 1. So I have to give this process its own unique name. All right? Make sense? All right. I'm just going to delete it, and I'm going to go ahead and apply this one. Okay? There it is. All right? And if I turn on, look at that. Same exact mask. All right? Because it's AI generated, right? I gave it the parameters, AI generated. All right? And if you notice, instead of subject 1, I got rid of the 1 and just kept subject. All right? These individual parts are not that critical. But since I'm already making changes to the names, I'm going to go ahead all in. I'm going to change everything just so I always know what's happening. All right. And the range selection, I named it fur selection because that's exactly what it's doing. It's just selecting the fur on my character. All right. Well, where am I? All right. And then the overall mask is called Fur Brighten. Wow. Ooh. Call it what it is. Okay. Fur Brighten. Okay. Or Brighten Fur if you prefer. Okay. Just by the name alone, I know exactly what that preset's going to do. Okay. All right. Now that I have my preset, I can then click on the first, scroll all the way, shift click on the last, or you can do it from here if you want. You can do it, click on the first, scroll down, shift click on the last, all right? And it's going to select them all. Okay, but you have to be in the develop module in order to apply presets. All right, as soon as you go into the grid view, you're back in the library module. D for develop, or you can just come up here and click develop. All right, and here is my preset, Fur Brightener. All right, and all I got to do now is just click on that. And it's going to go through, because it's AI generated, it's going to take a little bit of time because it's got to go, it's processing 64 images. All right. So it's got to go through each individual image, find the subject. So that's the first AI task that it was given. Find the subject. Then within that subject, find everything that is white. That's the second task. So each of these 64 images is doing 2 AI searches in order to build that mask. Okay? So it's going to take a little bit of time. All right? We're about halfway through. Okay? And again, this is another reason why you want to work out your preset on a single image. All right. Test it on a couple other images before you commit to the full range. Because imagine having to sit through this every time you make a change to that preset as you are developing it. All right. Yes, I could have developed it across all those images all in one shot. And for some of them I did. But for these, I don't suggest it. Okay. It's just going, you'll be what we're doing now is twiddling thumbs, waiting for the computer to do what it's got to do. Now imagine if you're developing the preset and you have to do this multiple times as you're developing it. Oh, I got to make a little change. Guess what? It's got to go through this whole entire process again. Oh, I should have done this. Oh, now you have to go through the whole entire process. Okay, there. All 65 images of Santa with this background. All right. And it doesn't matter that he's holding different toys. Okay. Let me go to this one here. I'll go to this one. Develop. Here's the mask. Look at that. Okay. Now it grabbed. Let me turn this off. It grabbed the bow. Am I upset that it grabbed the bow? No, absolutely not. Why? Because the bow is white. All right. And that white bow is going to be influenced by that yellow cast that I applied with my first one. So I want color correction on that. It also picked up the white beard in the Santa printed on the wrapping paper. Awesome. It's a win. All right. I don't care. It's color correcting the beard on the fake printed Santa. What do I care? All right. So that's a happy accident. Okay. Here's the bear. Okay. It picked up a little bit on his snout. Am I going to worry about that? Absolutely not. Does it matter? Not the slightest. You probably can't even tell that that's been color corrected because, again, I'm making a small minor shift. All right. There's enough saturation and warmness pre-built into the muzzle of that bear that shifting a little bit to the cooler side does absolutely nothing to it. Okay. All right. Everybody see the process? Everybody, getting the gist of it? All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
That was magnificent. Even I understood it.
Well, hopefully after 6 seasons or after 5 seasons,
Yeah. I'm a slow learn, but yeah, eventually if I see it, if I watch it again, I'll get it all.
Again, if you did not learn, it's not your fault. It's my fault.
No, in my case, it's always me. Now, Doc, does this go against? Are there any credits involved with AI? With the AI?
No. The credits only go for generative image AI.
Okay,
Yeah.
not this stuff. Okay.
Correct. So, all right. So now, the other things that I did on this particular fur is I not only did I cool it off a little bit, but I also added some haze and softened the texture up a little bit. All right. So you can see how softening the texture up toggling, there's on, that's off. You can see how it just softens his beard up a little bit. All right. Brightens it up just a little bit more. Okay. So, again, in this particular case, yeah, it's a portrait, but it's also a character. All right. A very well recognized character. So I need to be able to edit to the character as well as to the performer behind the character. All right. So there's a little bit of a, I don't want to say challenge because it's really not a challenge, but you have to understand that you're not dealing with this like a typical portrait. This person is playing a character. All right. Now, if you do model photography where you want your model to play a character, it falls into the same category. All right. Maybe you're doing a film noir detective photo shoot, and you're spraying haze, and you got this high key, I'm sorry, low key lighting with high contrast. All right. And you got the model that's playing a detective. He's playing a character. All right. You're not going to process it like you're doing a portrait. You're going to process it as a portrait plus a character. Alan, you do the steampunk. Okay. That can be a little tricky because they want you to take, they may, let me rephrase, they may ask you to take their portrait, and they want a portrait where they just happen to be wearing steampunk outfit. Or they may ask you to take a portrait of them as steampunk, where in that case, it's a portrait of them as a character. And you have to process and bring out that character, even if it goes a little bit against who they are personally. All right. I don't know if
Right.
that made sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. All right. If it's you wanting to photograph somebody and it's not for them, then yeah, you can process it as if you're processing a character. All right. Go all out, go crazy. Okay. As a matter of fact, the crazier you go, the more interest people will get in your photography, because they're going to go, wow, I never knew I could look like that.
Being
Okay.
able to change backgrounds right now is getting some pretty interesting stuff.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. And, being able to just like really play around with changing the mood of your lighting will also elevate it. And that's something that's fairly easy to do in Photoshop. Okay. I mean, it can even be done in Lightroom to a certain extent, Okay. All right. So the next thing I want to do, apply to all of these. All right. I'm going to click on the first. Whoop. Went too far. Shift click. Oh, where am I? Shift click on my first. I'm going to select a preset that I built eons ago, that you can see in my dodge and burn presets. Actually, let me go ahead and here. All right, I have some very typical ones that I use all the time, depending on what it is I'm shooting. All right, most of these, because I do a lot of event photography with an on-camera flash, I built a lot of these to help me correct some of the problems that an on-camera flash has. All right, and two that I built is this one here, burn top and burn bottom. All right, because sometimes it just the balance of light is just way off. All right. And it's my job to bring the viewer into the center of the image to where the people are. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click on burn bottom. All right. And what that does is it just throws a little bit of a dark gradient on the bottom part of the image. And the other one is my vignette mask. Okay. All right, and where's my vignette? There we go. Okay. Give it a second. It'll catch up. There we go. All right, so I have my burn mask, which is just, you can see here, it's just a linear gradient, and I am applying a one-stop burn. Okay, now, because I'm using the same preset across all of these images, all right, I have to be mindful of the background, because this background is very bright on the bottom, but if you remember the one with the two lanterns, it's dark on the bottom. Okay, in that case, I don't need this to be as strong. So when I applied it to those, I need a way to back those up globally on all those images. All right. So again, I got 65 images selected. I just applied this preset to all 65. And I said, oh, I need to back that down. Well, guess what? We now have that slider, all right, that allows us to control the amount for that preset. All right. Just keep in mind that this is only available when you first apply your preset. You apply a second preset, you can't go back to this slider. All right. So, all right. So now we're just going to back this up just a touch. Okay. And it's going to go ahead and update all those. And now we can see it's not as dark on the bottom. All right. And then my vignette. Okay. My vignette is literally a circular gradient. Okay. And all that's doing is it's burning the outside parts, because this is an inverted mask. All right. Meaning that the mask is being applied on the outside. And we've gone through these masks in the past. All right. I'm just revisiting. Okay. But now what I can do is I can say, okay, let me go ahead and close that off. All right. This is my default preset. All right. This is my default preset. It applied them to all 65 images, right? Now I can say, okay, well, this last image all the way up to pretty much here, all right? He's more to the right-hand side, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my develop module, reopen that vignette, and I'm going to alter that vignette. I'm going to give it a slight push to the left-hand side. And if you notice, I kind of cocked it. All right. I customized it now for 35 images. 35 images just got updated. Okay. So I can go back here. All right, let me scroll up. Where are we? All right. Here, he's more in the center, 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 and center. All right. Those are good because the default is center. Okay. So see how easy that was to just fine tune that one preset. Okay. All right. That's an easy preset. You guys still good? We're about our time. I just want to go over one more.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
If we look at my preset, and I'll zoom in. Okay. I created a folder called Santa. All right. And we discussed my color grade, which applies across the board to all of these. All right. I have this one here called Fireplace Candle Glow. All right. And if you notice, fireplace is bolden. All right. I tend to use all caps for things that I want to be kind of like group headings. All right. So that means that that preset only applies to the background that has the fireplace. Okay. And I only have one background with a fireplace. But if we come down below, okay, here's one that's called moonlit. All right. And there's 3 of these. Okay. Oops. All right. Moonlit lantern left, moonlit lantern right, and moon glow. All right. You've seen the photos already. You guys can probably guess which background that applies to. Right? Yeah. The one with the lanterns. Okay. So what does that mean? That means, let me go back here. All of these images, all right, all of these images with this backdrop, I now have a preset to turn on those lanterns, all right, because I have one for turning on the lantern on the left, all right, but what's wrong with this photo? Santa's in the way, all right, so I'm not going to use that preset on this image. Here's one to turn the lantern on the right. Okay. And then here's one to turn on the moon. I don't know. It's just peeking right up here. All right. Oh, it's already applied. Okay. There it is. Turn it off. Turn it on. Okay. All right. Actually, I did turn this one on here, but I removed it from where it's overlapping him. Okay. All right. And what I did is I grabbed all of these, no, all of, where was I? All of these 3. Nope. Sorry. These 2. All right. Oh, wrong button. Okay. And I applied that one both at the same time, and I just did a brush remove for where it overlaps Santa for the most part. Okay. And I'm done. All right. I moved on to the next set. Okay. And see how he kind of overlaps a little bit of the edge glow. I just took a brush, all 4 selected. I took the brush and removed it off of Santa, and it did them across the board. Okay. And then the rest of them was pretty much straightforward. Okay. This one, I didn't even apply this one. You can see a little bit of the lantern, but not enough to warrant me spending any time and effort to light that lantern. So I just concentrated on this one. Okay. And the nice thing is I can always go back to my develop module. And as long as I have all 4 of them selected, I can go back in, take my lantern and say, okay, I want to increase, maybe I want to bring out the blacks a little bit. All right. Maybe I want to increase the contrast, add whatever it is that I want to do. I can make changes to it. Okay. And it's going to apply them across the board. All right. But what I really want you to notice is how I'm building presets for very specific needs. All right. Now, in this particular case, guess what happens? All right. This is my first customer with this brand new service that I just rolled out. So you're seeing in true real world environment, me working on a product that I am selling this to clients. Okay. I gave it away for him. All right. He's my guinea pig for all of this. Okay. I am working out the entire workflow, my whole entire process. I'm building all my presets. So now every time a Santa comes in for photos, when I put up this moonlit lantern backdrop, I have presets already made, and I can edit those images just like that. Okay, make sense? All right. And because I have different backdrops, and because I have different backdrops, all right, I have my moonlit one, I have my fireplace one, okay, I have the one where it's with the lantern, all right, that particular one is prop base, it's not background base, all right, but that bold heading says lantern. I know when that lantern is in play, I can activate that preset and I can edit all those images all in one shot. Okay? All right. That's the lesson for today. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. Any last minute
thanks, Doc.
questions?
I'm afraid to ask this one. I think I missed something fundamental. How do you, when you're creating a mask, how does it turn into a preset? Did you miss that step of taking a mask and into a preset?
Yeah.
Duh. You're right. I did not go over that.
Oh, it's not me.
No, it's not
Okay,
you.
so-
It's not you.
I thought I was dumb too.
All right. You know what it is? I have a line of sight to the clock. All right. And I've been noticing that we're way over time. And so, anyway, so yeah. Okay. So I built my preset. I got, everything looking the way I want. I'm sorry. I built my edit. Okay. I built my edit. All right. Let's say, let's say it's this lantern. Okay. All right. We've already mentioned that you want to make sure that you name things so it's not going to create. Oh, and look at that. I misspelled it. I corrected this in a future update of this, but this is one of my early ones. So it says lantern instead of lantern. All right. But so I did the effect. I said, okay, now my camera may shift a little bit left, a little bit right, up, down, whatever. Okay. But as long as I'm using this backdrop, I know there's a lantern on the right and there's a lantern on the left. And I need to turn those on and off individually. All right. So this is the one for the left. I built it. I put it in position. Will it line up across the board with all of them? Absolutely not. Do I care? Absolutely not. Because I know that there is a little bit of handwork that goes in this. I want 90% of the job done. Okay? So now I need to save this so I can propagate this across all the other images. All right? So we go to the very, very top of our list. All right? So we need to scroll up. All right? And right up here where it says presets, you're going to see a minus and a plus. Okay? All right? And if you click on that, you're going to create a preset or import a preset or manage your presets. All right? Obviously, we're going to click on create preset. Okay? Once you click on that, it's going to bring up this dialog box. All right? So the first thing I need to do is I need to give it a name. All right? How you name your presets is entirely up to you. From experience, I like to chunk my presets in logical chunks. All right. So you can see that here I have a folder called Dodge and Burn. All right. And you're going to notice that the majority of these presets say burn. And then we get down in the bottom, it says dodge. All right. Burn means darken, dodge means lighten. All right. It's an old hang up. All right. Those capitalized titles allows the ordering to be in chunks. So I have a chunk for burn and a chunk for dodge. All right. And then within that, I have a short descriptor. What does it burn? What does it dodge? Well, it burns the top and burns the bottom. Now, you're going to notice that I have a 1 and a 2 on that one. That was my ADD kicking in.
Aha.
All right. Alphabetically, it goes bottom, top. But in my mind, it should be top, bottom. All right.
Being a data guy, I agree with you 100% in doing stuff like this.
All right. So how do I fix it? Well, I put a 1 and a 2 and it reversed the order for me. All right. So that's why I have that. But I have, a burn to bring out sky texture, a burn for burning when I'm using a strobe. Usually I'll aim it to the left or I'll aim it to the right. And I tend to get some hot spots depending on the environment. So I have one that will control the burn on my spotlights or on my strobe lights. Okay. Vignette mask. All right. So this is my convention. You can do it the way you make sense to you. Okay. But I like to do it in chunks because it just keeps things organized. All right. So we can call this just to give it something different. We can call it lantern glow. Okay. Now I may have several presets that I designed for lanterns. Okay. Now the thing is, pretty much anything that I create for a lantern is going to be some kind of glow effect. Lanterns, that's what they do. They give out light. So it's going to be some kind of glow effect. All right. So I can have 3 different glow effects. All right. Maybe I do a small, a medium, and a large. Okay. And they're all for that one lantern. All right. Or you can say, okay, you know what? I don't want to be specific to a lantern. Maybe I want just a general glow. All right. And in this case, it's medium size glow. Okay. Because I'm going to build one for a large glow and one for a tiny glow. So now I can pick and choose. All right. Now, what am I going to pick and choose? Because it's a localized adjustment, none of these global settings play into effect. All right. These are being done by other presets. So none of this gets checked. I'm only looking at my local adjustments. All right. And that's in the masking. And this is where it's important how you name it. All right. You can see I have one here that's default mask 1. Okay. If I had 5, I have 5 here. All right. If I did not rename it, guess what they would be? Mask 1, mask 2, mask 3, mask 4, mask 5. Does that give me any information? Absolutely none. All right. If I apply mask 1 and there's already a mask 1 there, it's going to overwrite it. Okay. It doesn't matter what the settings are behind it. It just says, oh, mask 1, it's already there. I'm going to rebuild it. Okay. So I have one, let's see, lantern left. All right. Which is the one that we're going to use for our glow effect. All right. So I'm going to deselect everything except the one mask that I want to save. Okay. Once that's done, I go ahead and click on create. And, oh, no, I'm sorry. Let's go back. I forgot to mention, all right, when you give it, you also want to put it into a group. It'll put it into your user presets by default, all right? But if you are having a collection, all right, so like in this case, it would be in my Santa, make sure you pick the proper folder, okay? I forgot to mention that, all right? So now we go down. I got to scroll down to my, where's my user presets? Oh, there it is, all the way at the top. And there it is, my glow medium. Okay, now I'm going to turn off that lantern. Okay, all right, because that glow effect is just built. Okay, now let's say I have glow small, glow medium, and glow large. Which one is going to apply for this particular scene? Well, if I hover over it, it's going to give me a preview. All right. So I can very quickly preview which of those 3 glow effects is the most suitable. And then I am going to go ahead and click on that. Okay. Now, you're going to notice that I had turned this one off. All right. I had turned the lights off on this. Now they're turned back on. Why? Because it rebuilt this preset, this selection. Okay. And it turned it back on. All right. So again, important why you want to name unique. Okay. Because let's say I have another light source. Okay. Well, guess what? My lantern here just got overwritten with that glow effect. All right. Okay. So that should answer your question. All right. Now you can move these around after the fact. Just click and drag to where you want them, and it's going to move them around. All right. All right. So now you say, okay, well, you know what? I have my medium one. I want to make a small one. All right. Well, you might want to say, okay, well, here is my small one. Let me save it. Don't. All right. Because everything here is still the same. Now, one little quirk that I found is you can rename these. And for some reason, if you use the same one to build a second preset, Lightroom doesn't like it. All right. So my suggestion is build a new one from scratch. Don't try to reuse masks because Lightroom doesn't like it, even if you rename it. All right. I found that out the hard way when I was like, why isn't it working? Okay. If you want to keep the same settings, just write down what your settings are, all right, and just copying them over. But build your presets, each preset scratch on their own, okay, and then just give it the new name. All right. Now, if you need to update it, all right, so let's say as you're working, you say, oh, you know what? I built this preset for this lantern, but it's too small, all right? I saved it as a small lantern. I need to make it bigger. Nothing else is changing except the size. I still want that preset for that lantern with those settings. All I'm changing is the effect. So I'm not creating a new one. I want to update it. So we go to our preset that creates that. We're going to right click and we're going to go down to update. All right. Actually, update with current settings. All right. And you're going to want to make sure that the only thing selected is that preset. Or I'm sorry, that mask that's creating that effect. Okay. And then you hit update. I don't want to update it because I'm not. All right. And it will update it. Okay. Now, it's not going to update it across the board to all these other ones that have not been selected. All right. So if you find that, well, I applied it to these images, but it's got the old size, just click and drag or click shift, click on your last one and go ahead and click on that preset again. And it will update it across the board. Okay. All right. Because I don't want to get confused later on, I'm going to go ahead and delete that because I don't want to screw myself up. Okay. All right. So hopefully that answers that question.
Thank you.
All right. And now we're definitely way over time. Sorry for keeping you so late.
It's worth it.
All right. Good. As long as it was worth it. I'm having fun. I don't care. So, cheers.
Good job, Doc.
All righty, gentlemen. Like I said at the end of December, we're going to be making changes to my channel here. All right. One thing that's coming down the pipeline is I'm going to be ordering myself a wireless microphone. So that way, let me switch over. Okay. We discussed this before. One of the problems with me sliding into the studio area, let me slide over. One of the problems is you can't hear me. I would have to talk really, really loud in order for that microphone way over there to hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Barely.
Barely.
You are way off, Mike.
Yeah. So that's a problem I need to fix if I want to use the studio for demonstration purposes, which I want to do. So I just found out Godox makes wireless microphones. Who knew? And they just came out with their latest series, the S1, the SA1 or something like that, whatever it is. All right. Reasonably priced. It's got really, really good reviews. It's been out, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months so far, something like that. I'm pulling the plug. I'm investing in a wireless microphone. So that way I can walk over there and do what I want to do. Bring you additional content. Okay. The other thing is, let me turn that. So the other thing is I have my green screen. Actually, let me turn that green screen off for a second. Yeah, this nasty green screen here, I'm going to be getting rid of that green screen. There we go. Nasty green screen. And I'm going to be building a practical set. Practical meaning that I can interact with it. All right. So that's coming down the line. And when I do that, I'm going to get some proper lights to light me so I'm not all this washed out. But that's gonna take some time. I know what I want to do, but this whole area is gonna pretty much get demolished down and rebuilt. Hopefully, and within a month, I'm looking to do that. But the first thing I want to do is get that microphone so I can go into the studio area and bring you stuff. So start thinking about what you would like me to present. Okay. I'm thinking, start off some tabletop stuff, I think somebody mentioned photographing the little toys in the diorama. I thought that was pretty cool, So anyway, let's not keep you guys any further. Thank you ever so much for hanging with me into our sixth
Yes.
season.
Yes.
This is amazing, So, any last minute questions, comments, concerns? We're good.
We're good.
All right. We'll see you all on the flip side.
Thank you for watching Learning Photography with Duck. Brought to you in association with Milford Photo, your local full-service camera store. Located in downtown Milford, Connecticut, Milford Photo offers you a personalized shopping experience. From the latest camera gear to printing and framing services. And, of course, educational workshops to teach you the finer aspects of photography. Don't forget to tell them Duck sent you.